the new order to the next new order. In the United States, the New World Order, it was an American order because the United States won World War II. It had 80% of the world's gold. Gold was money. It had the dominant military power. It had nuclear weapons. And because of that, we began the American World Order. And by the way, this has happened repeatedly throughout history. And so they start off with those new rules of the game. And you enter a period of peace and prosperity. And it's peace because nobody wants to fight the dominant power. The dominant power won, and you don't want to fight the dominant power. But during that peace and prosperity, more and more prosperity takes place, and they increasingly bet on that prosperity, and people get more in debt. And so you see the debt levels rise, and you see naturally, as prosperity comes, it comes in unequal ways, and some get richer than others, and so wealth gaps rise. And then those wealth gaps increasingly create opportunity gaps because the rich people have more resources to educate their children and give them the benefits. And so that happens over a period of time while the economy gets more indebted, not just in the cycle taking place over and over, but if you deal with the cause-effect relationship, they're logical. If you have a downturn, if the country as a whole experiences that problem, and you have a large wealth gap, you are likely to have a fight. There are three big forces to keep your eye on. And when you see them in their cycle, then it's clear. First, are you earning more than you are spending? One man's debts are another man's assets. Money goes down in value as they produce it to produce that buying power. And then that gets people bad returns. It produces a higher amount of inflation, and it produces bad returns for holding debt or bond. So in other words, cash or bonds, and then people get out of cash and bonds, and that produces rising interest rates while there's rising inflation, and that produces stagflation. So I want them to get the mechanics of that because that's happening now. You could see it. This is not controversial. We are producing a lot of debt. We're spending a lot more than we're earning. And as a result, they're printing a lot of money. And the printing of a lot of money creates a lot of inflation. And with that inflation, cash is trash. You don't want to hold cash. And that causes rates to rise. And that's one of those three factors. The second force that is dealing with is the internal conflict force, how you are with each other. Are you operating cohesively, common mission, and moving in the right direction? The system working? Or are you at each other's throats? Is the system threatened? Because history has shown when the causes that people are behind are more important to them than the system is in jeopardy. And that is a risky situation. It's a risky situation because it produces disorder, and it can produce a form of civil war. And the third force is the rise of a great power, the geopolitical force that's going on, that we're seeing today with China and Russia. We're in the part of the economic cycle where the government has given a lot of money and credit to people. They've put it out. Well, no surprise, that's leading to a lot of inflation. Inflation takes buying power away from people. And it also means that then there's going to be higher interest rates, and that's going to squeeze people. And so that makes that wealth gap and that wealth issue more difficult. They get stronger in all ways, militarily and commercially and so on. And that's the dynamic that we're seeing.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information, and it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
And there are four types of wars. There's a trade war, there's a technology war, there's a geopolitical influence war, there is a capital war, and then there's a military shooting war. Right now, debt is dollars. Any currency, the way you hold it is you hold it in the form of debt. You don't hold it just in paper. And because there's a rising inflation, and because there's a lot of printing of money, first thing is you realize that holding cash and dead assets is a bad thing. People think that cash is the safest investment, but they are measuring that in the amount of money that they get, nominal returns, and they say it doesn't wiggle much. But think about it. It's lost, as of the most recent statistics, 8.5% over the last, inflation is 8.5%, and they receive virtually no interest rate in cash. You have to think in terms of buying power, not the number of dollars you have. And you have to think how much are your buying power. And so the worst thing is to be in cash.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race, you're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Markus Dahn, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Markus Dahn.